Welcome to the Leadership Buzz with Lloyd Buzz Buzzle, ICF credentialed coach and retired Air Force officer. This podcast is for leaders who want to align behavior with values and grow in self-awareness. Each episode, one book, one idea, one story, and 3 coaching questions. Work hard, tell the truth. Here's Buzz.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Leadership Buzz. I'm Buzz Buzzell. Today we're talking about something that every leader can do, regardless of title, rank, or position. Sometimes leadership is not about authority at all. It's about the energy you create around other people. A word of encouragement, a handwritten note, recognizes someone's effort in a meaningful way. Small actions can have a big impact on culture, trust, and motivations. Today's episode comes from a great book called Leading Without Authority. TJ, tell us a little more about the book.
Today on the Leadership Buzz, Buzz explores a powerful leadership lesson from the book Leading Without Authority by Keith Ferrazzi. In the chapter Spread Positive Energy with Praise and Celebration, Ferrazzi writes that small amounts of targeted positive energy can spread quickly throughout an organization and create massive momentum and impact. This episode looks at how praise, celebration, and appreciation are not small leadership extras. They shape culture, reinforce behaviors, and build trust. Buzz shares practical leadership reflections and personal experiences on recognizing people well, creating energy on teams, and why encouragement can be one of the most powerful tools a leader has. Let's roll.
Thanks, TJ. Today on the Leadership Buzz, we're talking about praise, celebration, encouragement, and positive energy in leadership. I think this is one of the most overlooked leadership skills there is. This episode comes from that book, Leading Without Authority. Now, when people think about leadership, they usually think about strategy, accountability, vision, discipline, maybe difficult conversations. Those things all matter. But leaders also create emotional environments, and that leaders create energy. In the book, he argues that small amounts of targeted positive energy can spread quickly throughout an organization and create massive momentum and impact. That's a powerful idea because small things become culture. That could be a quick thank you, a handwritten note, a leader remembering someone's effort, recognizing someone in real time. Those moments matter. I think sometimes leaders underestimate how much people simply want to feel seen, not flattered or manipulated, but seen, sincerely. And one thing I really liked from the book was the emphasis on making praise personal and making it timely. Not 6 months later during an annual review, but right now, in the moment, specific. Because generic praise usually doesn't stick. Hey, good job, everybody. Okay, thanks. But when a leader says, hey, I noticed how calm you stayed during that meeting today, or during that exercise that we conducted, you really helped the team by stepping in there. I appreciate your consistency at work today during that session. That feels different. It's personal, and people remember personal encouragement for years sometimes. I still remember it I received decades ago from leaders, and not because they gave a huge speech, not because they handed out awards, because they noticed something specific. And some leaders are just naturally good at it. Others have to become more intentional.
Why do you think specific encouragement matters more than generic praise?
I think because specificity communicates attention. It tells people, I see you, I noticed you, you matter. And in today's world, attention is one of the greatest gifts leaders can give people. Everybody's busy and distracted, moving fast. When a leader slows down enough to recognize effort, growth, attitude, teamwork, patience, and resilience, that creates connection. And good leaders understand something else. Not everyone wants to be appreciated just in the same way. That's another important idea from this chapter. He talks about treating people the way they want to be treated, not necessarily the way you want to be treated. That's some emotional intelligence involved there. Some people love public recognition. Others really hate it. Some people feel value in a private conversation more than applause. And some people just appreciate handwritten notes. They just simply want trust and responsibility. Leadership is learning people, and that takes some curiosity on your part as a leader. It takes paying attention.
Coach Buzz, how can leaders better understand what appreciation actually means to different people?
I think leaders have to observe more carefully. Who lights up publicly, gets uncomfortable publicly, or values that encouragement and sees, or who values autonomy, who values opportunity. And maybe the one simplest leadership question is, what helps you feel appreciated? That's a powerful conversation. Now, one part of this chapter I really loved was the idea of creating the momentum of winning. That's such a great phrase because winning cultures usually are not built overnight. They're built through repeated encouragement and repeated progress. Most organizations celebrate huge victories, big victories, the big sales, promotion, the championship, the contract. But momentum usually starts long before the major breakthroughs happen. It starts with small wins. A young employee gaining confidence, a difficult conversation handled well, a team improving communications. Somebody just steps up and keeps improving. And good leaders celebrate progress along the way.
Why do small wins matter so much in leadership and team culture?
Because small wins create belief, and belief creates momentum. People begin thinking, we're improving, we're growing, we can get this done, we can do this. And momentum is powerful. I've seen teams where positive energy spread quickly because leaders celebrated progress. And I've seen environments where nothing was ever enough. No encouragement or recognition or appreciation. Eventually, people emotionally disengage in those environments. Now, one story from this discussion stood out to me. The company WD-40 got its name because the inventor failed the first 39 times before succeeding on attempt number 40. Think about that. 39 failures. Most people quit long before then, but somebody kept believing and they kept encouraging that effort. Somebody kept moving forward.
Buzz, what does the WD-40 story teach leaders about persistence and encouragement?
To me, it reminds us that encouragement matters most before success becomes obvious. Anybody can celebrate after the win. Leadership is encouraging people while they're still struggling, while they're learning, failing, and growing. That is an essential part of leadership in my estimate. And one quote from this chapter really stuck with me. What we reward with praise is what others will aspire to achieve. What we celebrate is what we will receive. That's culture. Leaders shape culture by what they consistently recognize. If leaders only celebrate outcomes, people may hide mistakes. If leaders celebrate teamwork, honesty, growth, resilience, and service, people begin repeating those behaviors. Culture follows recognition. Every single day, leaders are teaching people about what matters, what gets that attention, what gets rewarded, and what gets ignored. People are always watching, paying attention, and listening. And maybe one of the best practical applications from this chapter is gratitude. The author encourages leaders to regularly ask, what am I grateful for today? What do I appreciate about my teammates, my clients, my work, my job? That changes perspective. And really, gratitude changes how leaders show up emotionally. And I think gratitude shows how you can slow down as a leader enough to notice people. And people desperately want to know they matter. Maybe that's the challenge from today's episode. Build your reputation as someone who notices people, someone who encourages people, celebrates the progress, and spreads positive energy. Because leadership is not always about authority. Sometimes leadership is simply creating the kind of environment where people can thrive. I saw that over my career. I had a situation once where I had signed up for a holiday missile alert in the fall during Thanksgiving. When I came back from my desk after a long day in the missile field in the evening, there was a folded up piece of paper on my desk as a note. When I opened the note, it was from my boss's boss. And in the note, he said, "Hey, I saw you signed up for a Thanksgiving alert and that you'd be out and missing your family on Thanksgiving. I really appreciated that." And he signed his name to it. It was a handwritten note, and he left it on my desk. And I'm sure he probably just brought it down to my desk and left it there. That was pretty nice. Matter of fact, I kept that note for a long time in my flight suit until it finally disintegrated, tore, ripped. And I wish I had made a copy of it or saved it somewhere or laminated it. Because when I was having a tough day, I would take that piece of paper out and kind of read it again. It didn't cost him anything. It didn't cost anything to write that note. It was just a couple of minutes of his time, and I'm sure he just delivered it while he was walking around, which he normally did anyway. And when I found it that night after a long, exhausting day in the missile field as a major in the Air Force, it encouraged me and it kept me going. It was what I felt seen and heard, and I didn't need a big medal presentation to be able to see that. In another situation, I was leaving an assignment, and this was when I was a colonel, and I was going to get a end of tour medal. This is something that we try to avoid anyway half the time. I mean, we don't want a big award ceremony. Just hand me the medal and I'll take it with me, or it'll be in my records. Well, instead of arranging a award ceremony, the general officer, a 2-star at the time, a major general, she brought her staff down on my last shift on the operations floor without me knowing it, and came down during my changeover time and presented it to me. It was simple, it was easy, and it cost nothing but her time and, of course, her staff's time. But it was the kind of personal touch that really made an impression upon me. That meant more than anything, that she had just taken her time and took the inconvenience to her and her team to be able to come and recognize me before I left. It was pretty nice. I got a bunch of handshakes. They read the medal, presented the medal in front of my shift, my team that day, and it made me feel good. Even though I didn't want a large medal presentation, it was something that they recognized. It was something that the general recognized on how I wanted to be treated. It was how I wanted to be seen and respected. And that's where I was mentioning earlier, you got to understand who your team is and understand what they want to be able to be seen, heard, and understood. That's a really important thing, is to treat people how they want to be treated, not exactly how you want to be treated. And I've seen that in another situation where a boss said, "Hey, this is the way we're going to do it." And I was like, "Well, that's going to make me feel uncomfortable. That's not the way I want to be seen or heard." But they felt, "Well, this is the way you're going to do it because that's the way I think it should be done." Instead of, "Hey, you would benefit more by a small ceremony or something small and written or something unwritten." And that really makes you as a leader just watch people and observe people, as we were mentioning earlier. You have to be very observant and really watch people and how they want to be recognized. That's pretty important in life and pretty important on a team. This is not hard stuff. This is easy stuff for a leader to do. It costs nothing, and most of the time, it doesn't even take a lot of time. Just think about how you can offer encouragement or some type of praise for people and celebrate people as you go through the workday. It really is really easy, and you just need to look for it and find the time to do it for your team. Your team will respond.
Coach Buzz, can you give us this week's 3 coaching questions for our listeners?
This week's 3 coaching questions are: who in your life or workplace could benefit from more encouragement or recognition from you right now? How would that look? How do the people around you best feel valued or appreciated? And how intentional are you about recognizing them that way? What ways have you done that before? And what ways could you do that in the future? What small action could you take this week to create more positive energy on your team or in your relationships by encouraging others.
That wraps up today's conversation on Leading Without Authority by Keith Ferrazzi. Ferrazzi reminds us that leadership is often found in the small things: a handwritten note of encouragement, recognizing someone's effort in front of the team, or simply learning how people want to be appreciated and valued. Praise and celebration are not just feel-good moments. They help shape culture, build trust, and create momentum across a team. The energy leaders create spreads quickly throughout an organization. This book challenges all of us to think differently about influence, encouragement, and how we elevate the people around us every day. Over to you, Buzz.
Thanks for listening to the Leadership Buzz. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe so you don't miss future conversations. And if you have a moment, leave a rating or review. That helps other leaders discover the show. If these kinds of leadership questions resonate with you and you'd like to explore them more deeply, feel free to reach out to me. Coaching conversations often start exactly this way. Until next time, work hard, tell the truth.